Gus Frerotte, for those that may have forgotten, 17 years in the National Football League, Pro Bowler in the 1996 season, and he is an NFL record holder, which we may get into in our chat here. But let's bring him in today. Gus Frerotte from Pennsylvania. I got the bunny hug going, the hoodie, Gus. I left my mug at home, but I got one. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, Rod. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Happy New Year. How are things in the Frerotte clan here as we move forward into 2021, the whole family?
Well, it's kind of crazy today, so I'm on with you virtually. My wife is doing work virtually from her office. My sons are upstairs doing their second podcast ever with Wes Welker. So we're all at home, all over the internet.
Are your boys, is that part of the Huddle Up podcast, or what's the deal with Welker? Tell me about that.
Well, Wes has been a good friend for a long time, and he's now a receivers coach with the 49ers. But I've known Wes since we played together in Miami in 2005, and he's known the kids since they've been tiny. So they started a podcast this year. They wanted to try it, so they got on my show, just talked about their football picks and, fantasy football, along with, doing a little FanDuel betting. And they did a good job. I really liked what they did. So we said, let's try another show. They've been working on trying to get my buddy Ryan Fitzpatrick on. Fitzy's got his 7 kids, and so he's a little busier. And he has 3 little ones. So Wes just got finished, and Wes is going to come on. My son Gunnar actually worked with Wes one summer when he worked for Houston Texans, and Wes had him come up from college and just hang out with him and go through the meetings and meet all the players. So it's a good mix. I think they're going to have a great show today.
Awesome. Well, you're finding it's like Canada, and as you've pointed out, you've got a lot of family up here. They can't get enough hockey talk. They don't care who's saying it. They just can't get enough. In America, very similar with NFL talk, right? You put out a podcast, people are going to listen and watch. Would you agree?
I agree. And I think that you have to bring some good stuff with it. You can't just go out and act like you know what you're doing. You have to understand the game. You have to really give the audience some deep understanding, or maybe stories they've never heard before. I think you guys do a great job with hockey. I was just listening to your show before I came on. I know a few players that play up there. We were in St. Louis for a long time with Keith Tkachuk, and now watching his boys play, it's kind of amazing how great they're doing up there, one with the Flames and one with the Senators. So it's been a lot of fun watching them. And, I've been a Penguins fan as long as I can remember. So sorry about that. I know you're a Golden Knights fan and took our goalie from us, or should I say we let him go. But, NFL here is huge. If you can talk NFL, talk it well, and give people something new or something different, then they'll definitely listen to you. Oh, by the way, I love the sweatshirt.
Oh, I love it too, man. I don't know where you're getting this stuff from, but it is very warm. It's for what we got outside. This blizzard is perfect for the conditions. And by the way, I don't know why we got Fleury if we're not playing him. It's a bit of a stick in my craw with both my brother and me that are both Golden Knights fans that he's sitting on the bench. It kind of ticks me off. But listen, we do have the Brent Musburger of Canada here, John Frenzy. I said Hall of Fame writer, broadcaster. I'm going to turn him loose on you in a second.
John, how you doing?
Good, Gus.
As a matter of fact, Lynch, you were so excited to interview Gus. Why don't you take it over, and I'll come back at the end with a few for Gus.
Gus, I got to ask you about one situation that I just can't believe. It's the Philadelphia situation. A good kid, Carson Wentz, comes in from North Dakota State, takes him to the Super Bowl, been pretty good in the last 2 years. He has a rotten year this year. He hasn't got any blockers. Nobody can help him. He's getting sacked every second game, every play. And he got really upset about it. He had some clashes with the coach, Doug Pedersen. And then he said that he can't play for this team anymore. He and Doug Pedersen have an irreconcilable situation. It can't be reconciled. So what did... then he went and phoned his mother and told him what's going on. And his mommy got into the act. And she phoned up to Jeff Lurie, the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, and he said... I'll look into this. And he decided that because he signed our friend Carson Wentz, first of all, 5 years ago, he likes the kid. He's going to play. He's going to be at the quarterback. We're going to keep him, and we're going to fire the coach. So he walks in last Monday and fires Doug Pedersen, who's the best coach they've had in years, the only one to take him to the Super Bowl. And a schmozzle there now. A lot of the players are very upset about this. So how do you see that? Am I reading this thing wrong? Is it as silly as it looks?
It's very silly, but you got to remember it's a business. And, who's going to cost that owner a lot more money? Is it going to be Carson Wentz or is it going to be Doug Pedersen? So I don't know all the ins and outs. I didn't know his mom got involved. I mean, anytime that happens, that gets a little crazy too. Coaches don't really enjoy that, But with the whole Carson Wentz thing, for me personally, watching Carson Wentz play, I think he gives maximum effort. I think he's very prone to turnovers. When we saw them go to the Super Bowl, Nick Foles came and played for him after he got hurt. Nick Foles did a good job with the team. And so I think Carson got very lucky of signing a very big deal, right? And that kind of solidified his time in Philadelphia. But then they bring in a young kid in Jalen Hurts, who has a lot of promise as well. And so Carson doesn't do well. Yes, like you said, his line was abysmal. But I did get sacked 62 times one year playing for the Washington football team. So I know what that's like. And that still doesn't give you full reign just to turn over the football or make bad decisions and all of that, because that's the NFL. And sometimes you get that, it becomes that way. So you have to be able to, you're the leader of that team. You have to be able to improve your play in all situations. And I just think that this was a crazy year. They could have just said, hey, we're chalking this up to COVID and we don't know. We're just going to erase it from the books and start over next year and bring back our base, our coach, our two quarterbacks, and let's maybe have a competition. Let's figure it out. But I agree with you. I don't think Doug Pedersen should have been fired. I think he should have stayed there. But obviously, Mr. Lurie owns the team. He can do whatever he wants. It's a business, and he probably figured that's the decision that he wanted to make and was best for everyone.
Well, Gus, because you've been around pro football for so long and still are, in my 20 years in the CFL, we've seen it where there are irreconcilable differences between a coach and a player. And I just wonder if, can you not put them in a room and say, figure it out? And I don't mean just head coaches. It's happened with coordinators, position coaches. But have you seen situations where it's just not one has to go?
Oh, yeah, I've done it. When I was with the Washington football team and had to deal with that with Coach Turner and Mike Martz, and we had downright blowouts, right? And they don't forget, you don't forget, and sometimes you burn some bridges that you shouldn't have. They always tell you don't ever burn the bridges because you never know when those people come around and help you again. But at that time when it's heated and you're kind of in the moment, you don't think about that stuff, and you're young, and you only get a couple opportunities to be great in the NFL and do the right thing. So I can understand where Carson's coming from. Maybe he said some things he shouldn't have to Doug, and then Doug probably may have said some things he shouldn't have, and he gets out and gets the owner, and the owner has to make a decision. And we all saw what the decision was. I
saw on Twitter 3 or 4 players saying, "Hey, Coach, sad to see you go. You're terrific. Loved you a lot." Top players in that Philadelphia team. So I think there's going to be some hard feelings there. And I don't know. I just found it very surprising that would happen because you don't get rid of your stars. And Wentz has been pretty good. I mean, he's got the fumble problem, but he's only 25 years old. It hurts the team. They're going to get a new coach. He's got to start from scratch again. I don't see how this is going to help the Philadelphia Eagles, do you?
No, and then Jalen Hurts comes in, and then they bench him in the third quarter of the last game and put the third string guy in. And there's just a lot of stuff that happened this year with the Eagles that I think a lot of people really don't understand. And probably unless you are in those meeting rooms, it's the only way you're going to really get the full story. But anytime you get a new coach, a new system, new coordinators, it hurts a team because it takes a while, because usually those new coaches bring in the players they want. And so there's going to be a lot of players that will be gone for the Philadelphia Eagles. And we're going to see a lot of new names playing for the Eagles probably next year.
Gus, I brought this up, I think, the last time you were on, and I'll say it again, how you were defending Lamar Jackson to those Pittsburgh talk show hosts. I just love that. And you said it's your kid's favorite player. Am I right? Like, what are you expecting out of Lamar this week against the Bills? You must feel so gratified that this guy's proving the doubters wrong again.
Well, my son Gunnar he's the ultimate stats guy. He loves researching and doing all those things. I think he's watched every one of Lamar's games. And you talk about things that and history and stats of what Lamar has done. He's got one more game to tie Michael Vick's record of 100-yard rushes, I think. And he's just done an amazing thing. He's pretty accurate passer. I mean, I don't think he has the people around him right now to maybe go as far as the Super Bowl this year. Big play receivers. He's been struggling. We finally seen Marquise Brown step up and make some plays last week for him. But the guy's an amazing talent, and I don't think you can anybody can say that he's not. He does play for a team that's been up and down. I don't know if they go into the Bills and win. It may be 3 feet of snow in Buffalo this week, and he's even said he's never played in snow. But with their run game, I think they're rushing for over 200 yards a game. When I think of good playoff football, the run game really, if you can run the ball, you're going to do really well. And, I think the Bills are going to have a good game plan to stop him and that run game and try to make him throw the football. But we'll see what happens. I think it's just going to be a great game. Josh Allen up there has been playing well, so it's going to be a lot of fun to see the Bills go into the second round of the playoffs against the Ravens.
Now, I want to talk about the New England Patriots. The coach had to suffer a losing season. He hasn't had anything like that in 21 years. He's used to winning. So what's going to happen now with Cam Newton? Do you think he'll be gone? He's not the quarterback they want there, and the kid from Auburn hasn't shown that much. So I don't think Bill Belichick can do it. He thinks he's magic, but I don't think he is. He's a human being. He got lucky having the great Tom Brady with him for 20 years. Don't you think?
Well, maybe he's not magic, but he does something that wins, right? And you, like you said it yourself, he's made it 21 years straight, and I don't think you can ever look at anybody else to do that. So something about what Bill Belichick does, yes, he did have the greatest quarterback ever to play the game, and that obviously helps. But it's not one guy who wins game, right? There's 11 out there at a time, and he has to coordinate all that. He has to put good players in and out. We've seen him bring top players in. We've seen him cut first rounders that weren't working out. He has a system. That system has been working for him. So what happens next year, I don't know. I personally, I don't see Cam Newton coming back, even though everything I've heard, he's been a great teammate, a great leader, and worked extremely hard. I'm just not a fan of his throwing motion and what he does when he throws the football. And I think that, Coach Belichick will look for somebody a little bit different in that role. But he's going to find the people that fit his system. And, one thing about Coach Belichick, he's always going to have a great defense.
Gus, I got one for you. Well, a viewer, James Henderson, writes in and says, I wish I cared about American football, but I just can't. I don't know why, but I just find it boring compared to the CFL. Look, I get it. You hear it a lot up here in Canada, but they're not playing, James. The NFL is, and that's what we're going to talk about. But your kids are certainly familiar with Pat McAfee, and maybe you probably are too, Gus, with what he's doing. You see that he called the CFL State Fair Football last week, and we had a bit of a back and forth, he and I, and he said, don't take it as a shot. I love state fairs. What is your take on this brand of CFL football in terms of respect level, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that, you definitely cannot go against what the CFL has done because they've been around for a long, long time. And their part, they don't call it American football. Obviously, the rules are different, right? But it is still football. They're still hitting, tackling, and doing all the forward pass. There's doing all the things that American football does. I think the difference is that the pay is obviously way different. The fanfare, the amount of people that watch American football compared to the CFL, I don't think I would ever call it state fair football because it's the same thing. And it's just, everybody who plays hockey tries to get to the NHL. Everybody who plays football tries to get to the NFL. It's just the next step up. And that's all I would say, is that it's good football. I've been to CFL games. It's different. Sometimes you have to get used to it because you're used to your rules, right? There's different rules. But other than that, it's still football and it's still hitting. And, I kind of wish my guys could always move at the line of scrimmage and run downfield because that would help me out getting those guys because I didn't always have the fastest receivers.
Yeah, and you know what? On that, if I may, did you watch the Rams-Cardinals game, the last game of the regular season? Arizona had to win to get in. And Chris Streveler just couldn't get it done, right? They pulled him out and put a one-legged Kyler Murray into the game. What do you think Arizona does with Streveler moving forward? Do they give him another chance? Or you said you only get a few chances. You're right. Did Streveler blow it, do you think?
Yeah, you only get a few chances. You got to come in and prove yourself. And, there's not many opportunities. Kyler Murray's going to be healthy. Now, whether the team comes to him and says, look, you got an opportunity to compete for a backup spot or even a third string spot, that's what we'll do. But the NFL is very finicky. You have to prove yourself anytime you get out between those white lines. I've seen a lot of guys make it year after year in the NFL, then all of a sudden they get their chance to play and they can't cut the mustard because it's not 7-on-7 or practice anymore. I mean, the difference between the game and practice or whatever you think you've been doing is 100% different. The speed, how fast everything moves, the intensity, it ramps up 1,000%. So, hopefully he gets another chance. We'll see what happens. But when you go in and you got an opportunity to really help your team and it doesn't happen, then, there's a lot of people and scouts. There's not just one person making that decision. There's a lot of people, but I hope he gets a chance to play again.
You're right. A lot of necks on the line. Gus, this has been a fantastic update as we've just put on the screen. Enjoying Gus. Check out his podcast, Huddle Up with Gus, at huddleupwithgus.com. I'll continue to wear this bunny hug with pride. Enjoy the games this weekend, Gus, and we'll chat soon.
All right. Hey, Rod, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you getting that nice sweatshirt. I don't know if you could see it. I got my T-shirt on today as well. So the T-shirts are great. But like you said, I don't know where they're made. We got a great guest this week. Plus, my boys are going to be on a Huddle Up with Gus with their guests during the week. So we got a lot going on. It's been a lot of fun. And I appreciate being able to share time with you and you having me on your wonderful show. And thanks for the questions, John.
Okay, a lot of fun.
You bet. All positive. All right. Have a good weekend, Gus.
All right. Take care, fellas. See ya.
Pro Bowl quarterback Gus Frerotte joining us on video chat this morning.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.